So welcome everybody to our webinar, Discover the Exact 5 Steps to Building Your Coaching Practice Using Cooking Classes. I am Sheri Mraz. I'm also a health coach, an author, public speaker, mentor, and founder of the Wellness Cooking Academy and the Cooking Yogi. I say the Cooking Yogi is my boots on the ground business. I've been the Cooking Yogi for 10 years. That is my business that I teach my own cooking classes under, and I run around and educate the public under that. My parent company is the Wellness Cooking Academy that teaches other coaches how to do what I do. People absolutely love cooking classes. The problem with the cooking classes that I have seen in the public is that they are a little bit gluttonous, and this is not something that we want to teach as health advocates. We already know, you probably know, you're here. I'm going to assume you are a wellness entrepreneur. There is an epidemic, obviously, of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol. There is $14 billion a year spent on health care. We should say it's not health care. There's no caring about it. It is not preventative and can be avoided. So that's what I love about the cooking classes. Those diseases are not contagious diseases. Those are diseases of lifestyle. So we have the opportunity as coaches to be able to go and teach healthy cooking classes. So does this sound like you? I want to find out why you're here. And again, you can go to the Q&A. There's also a chat button, but easier for me to see the Q&A on this format. So if you have something that you want to say, not just a question, go ahead and say it. We're all here to help each other. So do you love watching cooking shows and think it would be fun? Maybe you always feel like you want to remake the food. Have you always thought maybe you could do that? Or maybe you just really want to make extra money and or build up your client base. So cooking classes are the perfect way to get in front of a lot of people. They help you get clients, sell products if that's something you're doing, or just help you, again, make extra income. So I just want to real quick, I know on your notes, if you're following along, the next part is maybe some ideas of places where you could hold your classes. So some of the places, this isn't all of them, we'd be here all night, day. Some of the places that you can hold classes are in your own home, that's how I started, or in other people's homes, private class, churches, gyms, wellness centers, stores. I'll show you some slides as we go along so you could see some of the venues. Schools, community centers, like a natural health cafe, some type of cafe, corporations. You can do demos at health fairs, doctor's offices, chiropractors, realtors. Realtors love this. They're always on the run, and a lot of them don't have the best habits. Farmers markets, another good way to get yourself out there. Do you need to be a nutritionist? No, you absolutely do not need to be a nutritionist. You just need to be in love with health and teaching people about health. You can see from the slide, I don't want to read every single slide to you. You can read it. This is just a format that I have put together modeling after what I've done so you can see that you don't need to start from scratch. We do cook from scratch a lot though. Do you need to be a chef? No, you don't need to be a chef. That's one of the biggest questions I get all the time, because people overthink it. You don't need to go to Cordon Bleu to be able to teach people about healthy eating. The more simple you keep it, you're gonna not intimidate the average person. Recipes are a guideline. You wanna teach them how to use them as a guideline and how to be able to implement it at home very easily. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to cover are the most important ingredient. That means in your class, the most important ingredient you want to do, how to hold your classes to grow your business, fast track to instant credibility, what that is, and the number one most overlooked step, something that I did it. Oh my gosh, I taught so many classes and forgot to do this. That doesn't get you anywhere. And then how to get free marketing. We're going to cover that. That is something that a lot of people don't even realize exists, a way for you to save money and build your business. And then if you're stuck, how you can get unstuck. Okay, so after class, I am going to stop the recording and then offer you a special bonus. So hang till the end. I'm sorry to those who are watching this as a replay. I have to give a benefit to those who are showing up and being here. It's just a known fact. People get more out of attending live. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's energy, whatever it is, but it's just so much better for you. But hey, I know life happens, something happens. We have kids, whatever it is, if something happens and you're listening to this as the replay, because I try to make it nice for everyone. People sometimes email me and I will make exceptions, just so you know. Nothing in life is written in stone. Okay, so your why. If you're running a business, and you have probably heard this a gazillion times. You have to know your why. In a minute, I'm going to share my why and what my motivating why was for me to be able to do this work. Not just the fact that I love educating people on health. It has to intertwine with your life and your purpose. So some of the reasons that I'm going to assume you're here is you want to get more clients. I suspect that a lot of you, because I know this was my story, and law of attraction, if you're working on too many things at once, you don't get anywhere. You start feeling like you just get an analysis paralysis. So this is hopefully going to make everything crystal clear and you can see which direction you want to go. So a lot of you, your why is you want to do what you love. You want to turn your passion into your career. And you want to make more money. It's not fun when you're not making money. You want to, if you have ever seen that book, Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow, that's the whole premise. You have to be in alignment with what you love and your passion, but you also need to know how to charge, how to do that money exchange, or else you're not going to make it. Sorry to say. Okay, and I know you want to help people. No one can help anyone unless you have, your cup needs to be filled before you can fill someone else's. You've heard the saying, put on your own oxygen mask. You really need to have a plan. Now, this is a biggie. For me, I think this is one of the most important things in business. You want to turn your problem into your platform. What do I mean by that? Maybe you have been a single mom. You've been obese. You've been abused. I don't know what your story is. I know my own, and I'll share it with you in a minute, but you all have a story. You want to take your story and make it weaved into your business so that you become relatable. People are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about that woman or man, but they understand me. You turn lemons into lemonade. Okay, there's my story. So that's just a little bit of a collage of my story. I started out in 2004 as a yoga teacher, and 2 years before that, I studied to be a spiritual practitioner, someone who, it's very law of attraction, it's treating with prayer. That was my thing. I had come from trauma, my own childhood of, there was a lot of things. I don't even need to go into the details, but it wasn't a very joyous time, and it caused me to have a very low self-esteem. I had to learn how to overcome that. So I did a lot of studying, and those are the people who help people. You know that there's an alternative once you learn it. So my whole approach was body, mind, and spirit intertwined with health. I studied at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in 2007. I became a mentor for them in 2000 and, I don't know, end of 8 or 9. And so I really was weaving it all together. And I was a single mom. So there's my son standing in a dollar bill. We all know it takes money to raise kids. And there's all 3 of them on the right. This is a few years back. My son's taller than me now. But I wanted to, make them proud. I wanted to feel proud myself. I want to achieve something. I want to help people. And I needed resources. So I built a business, solid business, to be able to sustain my family and be able to help people. So that really is my passion and my story. But it wasn't always that way. This looked like me most days. I'm going to assume this might look like you. Again, that analysis paralysis. You know, back when I started IIN and coaching in 2007. So when, in that day and age, I saw people one-on-one live or in groups. That was pretty much it. This has become a little more complicated. There's benefits, there's pros and cons to everything. One of the cons is that, you know, you're hearing all the time, like you've got to be online, you've got to post on all this social media. Oh my gosh, before you know it, the whole day goes by, you got nothing achieved. You don't 100% have to do that. I say, back it up. Make it simple. Go back to working with people. Do cooking classes. Get in front of people. Start at a grassroots, with a grassroots business that you can scale up online. I think the problem when people are doing, coaches, is they're trying to start at the scaling up model, and it's very difficult. You need to take years to develop that. So you want to have a template. You want to just start at the grassroots. That's my opinion. Okay. I'm a mentor. I coach students all day long. I advise them to do this. It's not for everyone. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Everyone has their own approach to things, but I believe to keep it simple and start at the bottom rung and build up is a better way to approach life. So when I started coaching, now my own personal business, here I was coaching one-on-one, doing groups. I started doing cooking classes, and I was doing them for my clients, and I was only holding them once a month. And then I started getting people to ask me all the time to do these classes. This was how that one element of me going out and teaching and realizing I wasn't building my business well because I was missing some of the parts I told you in the beginning, the number one and most important ingredient, the things you overlook. That missing part didn't exist. I didn't realize that it was an opportunity. I was just used to giving information. So once I put all that together, it was like, oh, I get it, an aha moment. This was me, and I only threw this in there because there's me, the cooking yogi. I was invited to do this huge event. 1,000 people went in front of me that day. And I have a slide I'll show you later on. But I won an award. So it helped me to get more advertising, which we're going to go into, how you can get free advertising. There are opportunities that will exist for you when you add in the cooking classes. That's why I love it, and we're going to jump right in. So this is one of my students. I run the Wellness Cooking Academy. One of my students, she emailed me. I love getting emails like this. She said, I met with an owner of a restaurant today to discuss different healthy demo cooking class options. I have to say thank you, Sheri, for making it easy for me. I tweaked some of the done for you material and the corporate proposal letter. Now, she went to a restaurant, but she used the corporate proposal letter to go with her theme. And when she walked in, she had it all laid out in a portfolio. She looked so professional. That is the moral of the story. I had another student, different student, who in her town, she lives in Indiana. In her area, they built a green market incubator kitchen at the green market. Incubator kitchen means a commercial kitchen people can use. But they wanted to run their own regularly scheduled cooking classes. So they were looking for an instructor. So one of my students emailed me, well, she called me, in ecstatic because she put together the material. She walked in with a portfolio and they said, no one has walked in here and looked so professional. She was hired and they're not paying her. She was given the opportunity to teach there as their primary instructor. She has 2 classes scheduled each week through the end of the year. She wanted to cut back her corporate hours. So doing 2 classes a week, she was able to go down to part-time. And let me give you a little math. She's teaching, and now I lowballed everything. In that kitchen, it holds 42 people. We went with a number, her and I did some math to see what it would look like for her. The classes are $55 or $65 each. We went with $55. So we did everything on the low end. $55 a class, a person. If you even only put 15 people in the class, and like I said, it can go up to 42. But if you only went 15 people at $55 each, that's $825 a night, okay, that she is making. Times that by 2 a week, and then times 4 weeks in a month, her income just went up $5,600. Now, yes, you're going to have food costs. Now, for her, they're going to be super low because she's at the green market. She can go around and get produce. And these are vegetarian classes that I teach. So vegetarian tend to be less money because you're not obviously paying for animal protein and such. Vegetables are cheaper. So, you know, you got to figure maybe $100 tops for her to spend on food. So, you know, $800 comes off of that. That's still a really nice income. Here's another one of my students. She sent me this picture that she got on the news. So she's on her local news talking about her classes. And what her email to me was, she would never have had the confidence to do that if she wasn't using the material in my course. Okay, so what you need. What material am I talking about? I put together for coaches an outline that they walk through every class. So there's benefits, talking points, a packing list. You have 3 recipes in the class. You get surveys. You want to survey your people at the end of class so you can fine-tune your presentation and also find out what else they're interested in, days of the week. Email, sign-up sheets, what tools you're going to need to teach classes, and any types of contracts. But the most important thing that I teach is how to make money. You don't want to be losing money. We do that with a shopping list. I teach a formula on how to keep track of that, how to promote and how to get the free advertising, and how to set yourself up as an expert. Okay, let's jump into marketing and promotion. That means that means your free advertising. Email is one way, okay? So if you are doing a class, this is me teaching a class. So what did I do? And I advise you all to do this. This is important. Look through all your local newspapers, local magazines. You know, all the free publications that are floating around, maybe at health food stores or the local papers that everyone gets in their mailbox each week. Most towns have them. So you're going to look, it's usually on the inside front page. Who's the editor? So start a 1-page document for yourself that you write down the editor's name, their phone number, their email, whatever, any way that you can get in touch with them. Now, you're going to do a class. You need about a 3-week lead time for newspapers, 4 weeks even. You're going to let them know, this is on my schedule. Invite them. So I invited this editor. She actually came out to the class, and I tell them, you're not going to pay for it. You know, it's a paid class, but I would love to give it to you. And maybe you could just snap a couple pictures or maybe write something up about your experience. So she did that. Now, when someone's looking at the newspaper, they don't generally look at the newspaper and read it cover to cover. I don't think anymore. People don't usually do that. Everybody is in, instant information. So they look at pictures, headings. So make sure you always get a picture in there. Even if you don't get an editor, you can have someone else snap a picture of the class and then write up your own article about your class, even after the fact, and say, I teach classes in the area. This is what we recently covered, talk about the class with a picture. Or another way you can get into some of the local publications is send them a recipe. Send them a recipe with either a picture of you doing a class. Better to do a headshot probably, because they're going to only give you a little thumbnail. So a headshot. So people end your website, or if you don't even have a website, you could still do this business. In my course, I teach you how to do that. We even have a single page website that you can get. So, but what you want to do is some way that they're going to get in touch with you. Obviously, you aren't going to probably, if you're doing your home number, if you're using it for business, great. If you're using your cell phone, there's apps that you can do to do that, no worries. But you want to always get a picture. You'll be in the grocery store, someone will say, I didn't even know you did that. It gets the word out there. Some other ways that you can get the free advertising, a press release, that's also in the newspaper. Newspapers need news. So don't feel like you're going to be bothering them or asking for space. They are looking for space. Now, they might tell you space provided, meaning if they don't have room, they have a busy week on the paper, they'll put it on the next week. Don't worry about that. So another thing you can do is, obviously, you can do some videos all over social media. That's free. That doesn't cost you anything. Referral partners. Go to your doctor's offices, chiropractor, whoever you would work with, and tell them about what you're doing. Maybe you ask them for some of their giveaways. Maybe they got pens, paper, little pads, whatever they have, squeegee balls. You could put them in, tell them you have goodie bags at your class. So now you're taking some of their free stuff. Now you got all these little goodies, especially if you're going to do a health fair, and then leave them your business cards or a flyer for your next class. So you're cross promoting. Do that enough times with those referral partners, and you will establish a relationship with them that they will start sending you clients. I guarantee it, because that's how it worked for me. I'm going to assume that it's going to work the same for everyone. It's becoming known in your area as the local go-to person, okay? And obviously word of mouth. That is great. That's free. That doesn't cost anybody anything yet. Okay, so this is me. I'm just going to show you some of the fun little perks of getting your name out there. So this was me sitting not ladylike, but that was because I was at a radio station. So they found out, they knew what I do. So they said, can we interview you? No one's going to say no, hopefully not. No one can see you. It doesn't matter. You can write yourself notes. No one knows whether you're reading them or not. They're listening on air. And usually whoever's interviewing you is really great at moving the content forward. So you don't need to be nervous. This was after I won that Best Plate Award. So I got into a magazine. So try not to. Life can be challenging. I get it. You might have, someone getting married the same day as an opportunity. You do what you can. And family comes first. But you want to definitely try to take these opportunities to get out there, do as many classes, do talks. We cover a lot about getting signature talks and classes in the program, and the signature talks. So you're not always wasting energy recreating things. Super important. Okay, so you have your notes. Hopefully you maybe have a cup of tea. Remember to ask questions as we go along, should you need to. So I'm going to run you through some of what we cover in class in the Wellness Cooking Academy so you can see what it's all about. So we start out with a questionnaire. Now this is just page 1. It's about maybe 5 pages, because I want everybody to really, again, line up your business with the essence of who you are. Not just what motivates you, but what you're good at, what your strengths are. You got to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. You can ask people, ask your family, ask your friends, what am I good at? What do I stand for? People will tell you. And then you want to start to track what people are telling you. Even people are coming up to you and saying, hey, I want to know, how did you lose weight, or how did you XYZ? Those are your clues, okay? That's how you start knowing what your program is. You don't need to create a program from scratch. You work with a template. That is going to help you so much. You take a template. It's like putting curtains in your house. You don't have to build this house from scratch. If you're like me, that might take me 10 years. So start with the house and then decorate it, okay? That decorate it is your message. And then you have to decide if it's a hobby or a career. Nothing. Zero wrong with it being a hobby. That is wonderful. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you want to do it part-time. Awesome. Do that. You don't tell your accountant that because you won't have write-offs. XYZ, that's a little footnote. But you want to make that determination, because if it's a career, if this is the direction you want to go, then you need to put a little plaque on your desk, literally or not, that says CEO. Start to approach your business differently. You go to a network event, people, or you're at your child's baseball game, whatever, somebody says, what do you do? Try to avoid saying, I'm a health coach, I run a 6-month program, blah, blah, blah. Just say, I own like me, I own the cooking yogi. Really? What is that? Then you can go into more detail. So you want to kind of claim your business. If you don't have a business name, that's okay. Maybe you're Mary Clark health coach. Okay, just say, well, my business is, I own Mary Clark's health coaching. Oh, what is that? So then let people ask. But we tend as health coaches to give a lot of information and not be presenting ourselves as a business owner. You are a business owner, especially if you're turning it into a career. And I do think that coaches, again, need tons of support. So that is why I put this together. You need it. Okay, so one of the first things we cover in Module 1 in my program are chef skills. The number one chef skill is called mise en place. That means everything in its place. French for everything in its place. So what does that mean? When you're doing a class, you can see the picture. You want to have your ingredients lined up in order by what you're going to use in that order. When you're doing a class, it's best if you can somehow have a work table behind you. You have people in front of you. So before your class starts, walk around the front, take a look at your table. Even if you're at a health fair, whatever, walk around the front, look and see, how does it look? If you have a tablecloth and it's like crooked, that looks bad. So make sure it looks presentable to the audience, okay? You're in front of people, you're gonna have an audience. Look at it. Make sure you're not standing up tall ingredients in front of where you're cutting. Keep everything cleared away from your demo area so people can see what you're doing. And then I use and I teach we go into this way more. I don't want to go into too much detail for time purposes, but you want to, have your recipes separated, the ingredients separated by recipe, and then you kind of do a swap out. I always bring the little linen towels with me, so keep your area super clean and be mindful of facing the audience. So if you're gonna swap out and you're going to your work table real quick, you have things lined up so that you can just say, excuse me, excuse my back, whatever, and just swap it out super quick. So in the academy, we go into the tools that are necessary. I think the number one tool is to be able to have templates, resources, a support system. To me, that's the #1 tool. I think it makes your life so much harder without it. And everybody knows carpenters are only as good as their tools. I say the same thing for health coaches or anybody in the wellness industry. You got to have some of those tools. So one of the things that I have done over a span of years is, obviously, you need to build up, start small. Don't buy tools you don't need. Just keep the basics. I use a butane cooktop. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at any restaurant supply. Web Storant is one of the ones that I use. You can get that online. You cannot buy the butane to get shipped to your house online because it will have to go on a hazmat truck and they're going to try to charge you some $100 shipping or something. So that you need to pick up at a restaurant supply local to you, or maybe even a hardware store in the camping section. Okay, so that's like your base thing you need if you're doing a literal cooking class. We do have some raw classes in the program, and obviously you don't need anything like that for that, depending on which classes you choose to teach at the time. So you need that. Chances are you're going to need a blender. If you're cooking and you can't use an oven on the facility, you maybe can do a demo with like a toaster oven. That's something I've done. And I use little cooler bags to transport to keep it super easy for myself. And a lot of times I did some fill-ins, believe it or not, like even thrift stores. I go in and I'll grab some, if I see some great like lucite bowls or something, I tell my audience, I do not use these at home. I use glass, I use cast iron, but I don't want to schlep the super heavy stuff when I go places, so I try to use lightweight things. That tip you will love me for. So in module 3 in our course, we go heavily into the food safety basics. So that means a food handlers, you don't have to have it to teach classes, but it's good to know the information that is on the food handlers certification course. It's good, just good information for everyone to know for safety reasons. There's cottage laws. Again, when you're doing cooking classes, there's a little loophole. You don't have to do these things. This is above and beyond the call of duty, but for some people you really want to know so that you feel you have the information and you feel this comfort that you are protected. Every state varies. We do have a legal expert. I don't know if you've come across Lisa Fraley. She is a health coach, but she's an attorney. So she knows how exactly the things that are needed for health coaches to protect themselves. That is really important. And even she says, and I believe it in as far as classes, even in her legal business, she says, don't try to do everything at once. When you're building a business, now remember I said this, when you're building a business, you don't want to do everything at once. If someone's trying to sell you everything at once, I'm sorry, that's not in your best interest. What you want to do is start out slow. You need basics. You need some templates. You need support, but you don't have to buy all this, umbrella policy, LLC. You don't need all that stuff to start. You just need very simple basics, because you can add those things as you're making money. That came straight out of Lisa Fraley's mouth. You add as you make money. I 100% agree with it. Even in the classes, you just need your basics. So let's talk about packing. So you can see that's a bad picture because I snapped it before I left for a class one day. So those are cafeteria trays. I picked them up at a restaurant supply. Every class, it depends on the size of your class, how much you're going to pre-prep, whether or not you have an assistant, you can call them sous chef, whatever. You want to, again, keep it simple. You want to try to travel light. And this is how I do it. So there's four, you see there's four different trays. I'm making three recipes per class. So all three of those trays, except the top left, that was kind of a spillover. Those are the ingredients that go with each recipe. I like to do that. I set it up that way in my kitchen. So I put all my ingredients. Now, sometimes, you know, the onion on one might go in another one, whatever. You can figure that out. But you're going to see, you set it up so that you know you have the ingredients for that recipe. And then you pack it in your bag. And then when you get to said show, you unpack it in the same format. So that's how you do the swap out. It makes it super, super simple. Okay, so this is a document I created for myself probably about 5 years ago now. And this is in a Word format, so you can go and change it if you need to change up a title or something for yourself. But what I love about it is somebody emails me or they call me on the phone. I want you to come and do a class for me at the community center, or I want to have a private one in my home for a group of ladies, whatever it is. Whatever. When someone contacts me, I have a file of these blank right next to my desk. I pull one out and I start taking notes. Okay, what's your name, your address? How'd you hear about me? How many people? And then we start talking about cost. Is one person paying for the whole thing? Is it a gift, you know, like for all their friends? Is it each person paying? Like, you start to write all these notes for yourself. If you're collecting a deposit, and I'll tell you why you would do that as we go along. The balance due, always thank people at the end. So I write a note to myself. I keep this stapled to the front of every folder, every cooking class that I do. And that is going to help you to, like, I don't go rummaging through folders. I used to when I first started, but I don't do that anymore. Now everything is on one page, and there's your little promotional packing list below that. So you can see right before you run out, make sure you have all those things. I put together some videos to show you how to capitalize on all of this in the program. And then if there's a theme. So this is your go-to document. You want to make sure you have everything on one page. So, and then I keep it. I keep it with the three recipes. You could see the menu is there. And I put it aside so the next time, if either that person contacts me again or someone contacts me and wants to do something similar, I remember when I did that one, that will be the same. I can pull it out. I've got a guide. You build as you go. It gets so much easier with practice. Okay, so some of the classes that are in the program are greens, eating on a budget, juicing, a cleanse, call it a cleanse, a detox, reset, reboot, whatever you want to call it. Same, all one and the same. Eating for energy, nutrition for busy people, eating on the go, and kids classes. Now, each of these has 3 recipes. You can retitle them. Those are just the kind of the headings that I have given to them. And just so you know, every single class, every one of these they're all easy. They're family approved. They're vegetarian. We do have raw. That has been added recently. Actually, it's getting unveiled next week. There's 2 new classes that are raw classes. As things get added to our data bank of classes, once you become a member of the Wellness Cooking Academy Society, you are given everything. It just is given to you. So, but these that you're looking at there are not raw. So if raw is your thing, then there's only 2 so far, so it may not be the right fit. It's easier to add protein, as in animal protein, than it is to take it out. So be really, really clear about that. Don't feel like, oh, but I eat meat and these are vegetarian. Okay, so then you go and you add it, and you can teach that in class. You take these as the base, and then you just tell them that this is how you can change it up. So by having that guideline will help you and keep you feeling confident because you've got the information. So here's a couple of different flyers. The one on the left is a more of a workshop. This is some of the stuff that's actually examples of what is in the program. So this is the greens class. So it says workshop because if you're doing maybe it at a location where you can't do a hands-on, you would use that flyer. On the right, it says fun hands-on cooking class. If it's not hands-on, you're not going to want to use that one. So you're going to change it. You put your information on there. It is the top part. The graphics are locked because you don't want to mess it up. We had the designer do this. We tried being able to change these things, but down at the bottom, it's completely changeable. So you get your information on there. This is one of the recipes in the green class. Again, there's 3. This is just a sample. So up at the very top, you can see your website and contact info goes here. So all of these are, again, those are done by the designer. So the format stays like that. What I love about it and what I have seen be very helpful for the coaches, as I said, they go and they bring their portfolio when they're trying to get the initial class, and they can say, this is what a class looks like. It looks like you cut this out of a page of a magazine. It's so beautiful that it makes you really look professional from the get-go. But the fact that you can put, there's an overlay, so you can put all your contact information in there. A person has zero idea that you did not create this document yourself. So I told you I was going to tell you what the #1 most important thing is an ingredient in every class. The most important ingredient is talking about benefits. So every single one of the classes, the greens or the budget, they all come with the recipes, but they also come with a benefits handout. The handout matches the ingredients that are on the recipes. Not all of them, but the highlighted ones, okay? So because you want to make sure that you're talking up health benefits. You also want to be talking, as you're going along, you want to be talking about your success stories. When I work with my clients, this happens. When I work with, or when I do these classes, that happens. Or when I present in corporations, it changes the whole dynamic of the company. Those are the types of things. That's the #1 most important thing to do in your class, even more important than what your food is, I swear, because you're trying to build a business. Okay, just remember that. Now, here is an outline. So you can follow along. You print out a master copy for yourself, okay? This is just gonna walk, this is 1 page, it's 2 pages. So you're gonna have some talking points, and then you can make your own notes on it. I told you how I keep a folder for everything, and so you keep your master copy, things that have come up, maybe questions people ask, or anything that you were like, oh my gosh, I got to remember to do that. That was so great. Write it down, because then you might not do this class again, you know, for maybe a month or whatever. Then you'll have really solid notes, and it makes it more yours. I'm giving you the basics, and then you can again put the icing on the cake, healthy icing, I'm sure. So let me take you on a tour. So this was me in a private home doing a class. Again, there you see Cooking Yogi, because that is what I teach my own classes under. cookingyogi.com. You could check out my website. You could see some of the packages. You could see how I do it. So this was just the ladies who cared to be in the picture. Sometimes people don't want to. This was a couple ladies in a different class. They were doing a salad in a jar. We give you, it's actually from Jamie Jones. she is one of the instructors in our live program. We have the live program 3 times a year. That is not until September, but I am telling you all about the modules, because you can grab the modules before you do the live program, and I'll tell you about that as we go along. So this was one of Jamie's, well, that was mine, but then Jamie actually put something together for the coaches. So, okay, this is at a lady's home, not a lady's, someone's home, a home for ladies, I should say. So sometimes you might want to do that. You might volunteer your services. You might take an opportunity to just help people. So for whatever the reason was, these women ended up there. Not everyone wanted to be in this picture. Again, obviously, it is a place they lived for a year. For whatever the reason, they became homeless, domestic abuse, or whatever their story was. And so I go there maybe once a month just to donate some time and give them some tips on eating healthy. And I pretty much always do the cooking on a budget for obvious reasons for them. But the great thing about doing, that's the law of give and take, so you always want to do don't outweigh your income, but a percentage of what you do, like tithing, you're going to give some of your time or help people. You will see that comes back to you. So this was at this was a private class. Now this girl contacted me. She was the bachelorette, and well, actually her sister contacted me and said they were having 15 girls. So let's do some more math. 15 girls. It was $50 each. So that was $750. I was there for an hour and a half. I pack up, I bring the ingredients, I talk to them, and the young people are usually pretty into this. They loved all the healthy recipes, and you let them pick their class. Just try to keep it to, again, 3 recipes for your own sanity, so you're not overworking. And so that's an opportunity. This was me doing a class at Whole Foods. Now, you may or may not have that opportunity in your area. Some of the Whole Foods or other grocery stores will let you come in as a guest chef. I used to teach all of their cooking classes for a time. They had a position that very short-lived, but that is something, you can take this and go to a place like that. One of my students, I was at an event, and some lady said she worked at Williams and Sonoma. She wanted me to come and teach there. And so I mentioned it to one of the students in the academy, and she went the next day and ran over there, and she got a job doing that. So I don't always have time to get to all of them. This is another reason why I have created this. The live program that I teach in September is a certification course, so that I put students into a data bank so that it advertises their businesses, so they can get jobs pretty much all over the world. We've had people all over. So that's a little perk for doing the live program. So this was at an olive oil store. Any kind of store that has any kind of, obviously we all know olive oil is, for me, I'm of the school. Now it depends on what your school of thought is. If you're maybe doing, Hippocrates, they don't like olive oil, but the majority like olive oil. I do. I follow a little more vegetarian Mediterranean. So that is a great opportunity. A store like this, any place that has the health-minded theme. I used to go there, and this was always a full class, like sold out. And I was there every 2 weeks. They get used to coming, and then the more material. That's how I put all the classes together. I just said, okay, because all the coaches, I mentored for IIN for so many years, and all the coaches kept asking me. So I was like, okay, well, let me put one together for you. And then it just sort of evolved. That's how you want your business to grow. By what are people asking you for? I told you that tracking. You want to make sure that organically you're paying attention. If you guys have any questions, just so you remember, there is that Q&A button up at the top. I will see it light up if, well, maybe not light up, but I'll see it if you have any questions. Okay, so here we are again. Now, remember I said don't pack your cast iron and your heaviest things. I did that this one show, and you can see me cooking there with cast iron. Definitely not my best night of weight carrying. So try not to do that. Just thank you, Carolyn, sorry. Okay, Carolyn says this is great information. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. So, okay, so I'm glad because, so I'll keep going then if this is helpful. Okay, so yeah, don't pack your super heavy stuff. But again, that was at the olive oil store. This was at a healthy cafe. And I'm pretty sure you may have some in your neighboring area that they try to cater to healthier a healthier menu. So just be mindful of that. When you're going to a cafe, we're going to do a little more math. And I'm not that great at math, so this, you may need, and if you are like me, you might need pen and pencil there. So we charged, because she wanted to keep the cost down. For her clientele, she said $37 a person was what she wanted to charge. Okay, great. We ended up having 20 people in the class. So that was $740. Again, I was there. The class is an hour and a half. The food cost, now depending, if you're at a cafe, they may decide they want to get the food. Let them if they offer. Great. Then you'll figure out, usually something like that is a percent, okay? I brought the food, it was $100, so that brought it down to $640, okay? In this one particular instance, we actually split it. So I walked away with $320. Not my ideal. I recommend when you're doing a cafe that you are, let me see this quite, are you able to share the source of your apron? Oh, yeah, yes, I will. Okay, so one second. So what I recommend when you're doing a cafe is you give them 25%, not 50%, okay? Actually, that math is wrong. We split the food cost too, so it was $370. Anyway, so okay, so we just had a question on the apron. You're gonna love this. Because it's a white apron, it's easy to do. Not easy on black because the decal is a white back. You can go to Michael's, any craft store, and you will find, look in the section where they have like iron-on stuff. So what you do is you buy an iron-on transfer kit, and you put it in your computer, in your printer, and your computer, you can just take your logo, and it will take that transfer and it will place it in your printer, so you'll be able to iron them on. I'll show you a different picture here, actually. So the reason I did that, look, here was me doing that event, that flavors event, which I had to hire a team that night because, like I said, there was 1,000 people that walked in front of us. And so we were busy. This was, I think it was like 4 hours, non-stop passing out food. When you're doing a demo, you don't serve a full portion. You serve a demo size. Demo size is usually 2 ounces. So when I wanted everybody to match, so I went and got the different color shirts, same color shirt, different sizes, and I bought everybody a white apron, and I did the transfer. So, and it washes. Those aprons lasted probably, oh my gosh, I want to say they've disintegrated now. The logo is pretty much off of there, but it lasted for probably, I don't know, maybe 2 years of me washing them constantly. So it lasts a while. Okay, so, and here's the thing, and like I said, I got the free publicity in the magazine. That was me winning best plate. By the time the plate came back to me for us to take pictures, because it went in front of a jury of judges, this was a big deal because in our area, I'm in Palm Beach County, we have big, huge places like the Breakers. They were the ones that won every year. This was my first time doing the event, and I got the award away from the breakers. Like, that was a big, big deal. So that's a farro salad and a carrot ginger soup. That actually, those recipes are actually in the class. So, and there's me. That was what I won, a clear plate. It says winner. Okay, so, but the fun part of that was I got a lot of press from it. This is me doing a bridal shower. So different bunch of girls, they contacted me, and that was actually, you know, you let them pick the menu. You put your classes, like all of the templates I have in the academy, you just take those and put them on your website, and then people will pick. But sometimes I'll swap it out, or I'll let people mix up ingredients. It doesn't matter. So you just swap out your ingredients. Easy to do. Okay, so, but here's what you want to do. When you're coaching, you want to first determine, what is your goal? Do you want to do one-on-one? Do you want to do group coaching? Do you want online programs? Or maybe you just want to do cooking classes, and that's all you want to do. Maybe you just want to not coach and do 2 classes a week. Like I said, I have Rhonda, who's bringing in $5,600 on the low end a month from her cooking classes, 2 a week. And so you just decide what you want to do. If your goal is to be coaching, I told you the number one most important ingredient, you need to be talking benefits and success stories, okay? So you want to keep it simple. So I don't, you know, this sounds a little salesy, but what you want to do are here's some examples. I know that if you implement these recipes and the ideas that I gave you today into your eating habits, you will see immediate results. You're talking about your program. I also know that when I work with my clients, they begin to go deeper, making permanent changes, talking about your work. Register on my sign-up sheet for a free strategy session, and or maybe you have a program, and we go really into this in the course, on how you lead people to things. And, you know, and you can put the squeeze, well, I only have a couple of spots. You get it. And here's an example of maybe if you want to do the add-on, okay, instead of the free session. So, you know, you can invite them to the cleanse or detox that I said in my program. That's something that a lot of coaches are using to invite them into, because you have, it's a full packet that you can run as a program. So maybe you invite them to something like that, because it's a short-term thing. My advice is, don't get in front of people and say, I run a 6-month program, contact me, we're going to do a health history. I did that for years. I mentored for them. It doesn't necessarily work. You get deer in the headlights. It's scary. It's like asking to get married on the first date. You don't do it, you're going to chase them off. You want to invite them to something, so you start building up a relationship, okay? And I'm sure, hopefully by now, you've heard that. It is super important, okay? For some of us, it was a bad habit to break, but you got to be careful. You definitely want to break it. And so, or you invite them to a 6-week program, or maybe just a gift certificate. Maybe you're an MLM person, meaning you are selling essential oils, or you have supplements, whatever it is that you can supplement. So here, you know, you go and you do a cooking class and you say, we eat healthy, but there are times you don't have time, so I use this shake maybe, or, you know, eating healthy will keep you grounded, but if you need to, there are times you may need a little extra, so this is the oil I use. Being in front of people and doing a class is such an amazing way to be marketing other products. I have my cookbook, and in our program, we do a book part of the program. And so I can sell, sometimes I might sell 10 cookbooks in a class, and I sell them for $20 each. So that's just an extra couple $100 on top of your class that you can put in your pocket. So, you know, there's ways to be able to add on. Okay. I always say, a lot of times health coaches are super passionate. I know you're here because you're passionate. But we don't always have the best business structure. We start working on everything at once, or passion takes over, and before you know it, you're like, how in the heck did I end up over here? So you have to stay focused. You need to break the shiny object syndrome, stop chasing the puppies through the park. And you want to have some accountability. So having the structure is going to get you to success. I like Blake Makowski. He's the one who started Tom's. That's why I put start something that matters. So this is just a snapshot of our roadmap. This is it's like that about me, how you start to decipher who you are and what you're good at, what your work is going to be, by how you feel, what people are asking you for, business basics, your programs, and then how you're going to target people. So preliminaries. This is, you've heard the saying, what you focus on becomes bigger. This is all you want to focus on. You want to market. You want to set your schedule of frequency, how often you're doing classes. You want to be prepared. You want to know how to do your storage, packing, have your handouts, get your story interweaved in it, your timing, and then rinse and repeat. So this is a business in a box program. So what did I put together? What did I put together for you guys? I used to be all over the place with my own classes. I roped it back in. I have signature classes. There are 10 signature classes. So you get I call it back office business organization, so that as you're doing these classes, you're not losing money. You're not keeping track of things. You want to, again, you use forms. You've got to train yourself to do the same thing every time. When you're passionate, you don't always do that. And you can do that in other ways. Follow your passion in your colors on your website, in your outfit, in other things, but in your delivery of your material, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So you're going to have your marketing flyers, your images, your recipes, the benefit, handouts, your coach's outline, email sign-up sheets, surveys, and oh, this was me being silly. Everything you need, soup to nuts. So we also threw in, I gave you guys a little bonus here. This was something that in Module 1, we have a couple of different chefs that are in the program, and one of them put together a 2-day meal plan that is in Word, so you can 100% customize it. And it says menu plan. I want you guys to be really clear on that. And again, I told you Module 3, we go really heavily into the legals of this business. When you're dealing with food, it's a little bit different. So if you love food and you want to use it to grow your business, which I think is an amazing thing to be able to do, try to get in the habit of saying menu plans, because depending on where you are in the country, you don't want to ever have anything, we were trained, if you're an IINer, to be bio-individual, but in red states, orange states, you can't use that language, okay? So these are some of the things that you're going to need to learn, and we go heavily into that. So there's 2 days of menu plans that you can use as gifts for giveaways or with your clients. Something else that I've seen, a lot of the girls and men that come to the academy, they get stuck because they say, I don't have a website. So what we did was we built, this is a single page website. Now, if you were to have somebody write the copy, fill in everything, and build it for you, you would probably be paying a couple $1,000s, even for one page, because it's written, and it is written in a way to build your business. But we put this together. It is only available at this price for the people in the program, and we put it together for $350 for coaches, okay? That is something that is an extra. So you see there's a heading at the top. These are all the things that you want to make sure you have on your website, regardless of whether it's a single page or pages with tabs. You want to have a newsletter, opt-in, about me, your social media buttons, and then the about me, what's your story? Real quick, you see this is quick, it's written out for you, just use it as a guideline. Obviously you can change it. And then your events. So if it's a single page, just you got to change it, what your events are for the month, you put on there. And then programs. Another missing ingredient is coaches forget that they got to move people towards their programs. So it's like going in the mall and not having anything for sale. Half the websites I look at, they're talking about all this health information, but they don't really explain to people how they work with them. Or they say, work with me, and it's bio-individual, blah, blah, blah. No one can understand that. You want to have A, B, C. This is how you work with me. Either they're 3 separate, or A and B fit into C. We go really heavily into that. But again, and my website designer who built this for us, for the Academy, she will even, for that low price, even hook it up for you. She sends it to you, you go in, change up your copy, and to make it just put your icing on it, and then she'll hook it up to your social media, your email newsletter service. If you don't have one, there's a way around that. We figured that out too, just how to drive them so you can collect emails. Okay, another great way to get yourself out there is to do corporate programs. So when you're doing a corporate program, now you're getting in front of people who may have never sought you out. We call them lunch and learns, correct? So here's one of the flyers that you can have the company pass out. There's 3 different classes for the corporate lunch and learns. Creating your survival guide. So that's another option. So there's a bunch of ways to work with people, and that corporate one I'll show you has different contracts. So, and also it's all living food, okay? You want to teach people that they want to eat food that's grown out of the ground, fresh living food. So under the living category, we put together the detox. I told you that is a full program that you can run your people through. It can either be 3 days, stretch it out to 14 with a few emails. And there's also a cooking class to be able to demo the detox and then sell them the detox. There's an art of juicing class and kids classes. Okay, this is taken directly from the Cooking Yogi website. How about hosting a class at your school, home, or summer camp? We can provide customized cooking classes at your location. So you can go check that out. And here's some little tour. There's me being silly with the chef's hat. And this one, the mom kind of got a little involved, so I would not have brought that juice and or the food on their plate. But we made a super healthy macaroni and cheese with brown rice pasta and everything from scratch. And then we came into this room for them to have the party, but we were in the kitchen. It is fun. If you love kids, this is a great way. And depending on how you put your keywords in your search engine, you will get jobs for this because it's something unique. So there's some of our cupcakes we do with the kids. No food coloring, of course. They're colored with vegetable coloring. So I told you the #1 way to build your credibility and your coaching business. That is what all coaches, industry experts, I can't speak anymore, and media superstars all have in common. They write a book. Okay, by having a book, it not only does it give you credibility, it becomes your signature message, your talks, it's a way for you to really, really, really grow your business. Next week in our course, we have a book writing coach, and well, I'll tell you about that at the end. Anyway, so this is me. I wrote the Cooking Yogis, More Energy, Less Waste is my cookbook. Once you get your book done, and I give you a template. I took a book writing course with IIN, sorry to say. I worked for them, so this is try to be diplomatic, but it really wasn't super helpful. What would be helpful, and I know this from my own getting a book done and working with other coaches, is you need a template. So there's two templates in our program. One is filled in with the intro, the index, your some recipes. You can go in and change it. It's in Word, but you won't be staring at a blank page. But for some of you, you want the blank template because you already have information, so you have an option. That will help you get it done in record time. So I mentioned about your red line. You have to know what your red line is. Your red line means there's one theme, one signature talk, signature classes, your book, one message. Everything weaves together. I tell you, when I started my business, I was all over the place. So if there's anything you're going to get from this webinar, even if you decide to not opt in to join us, this will be something hopefully that's going to sit on your shoulder, like your conscience, and remind you that everything needs to work together. Don't keep trying to create different programs, change it up. Perseverance, your message. And I do coach clients, so if you want to email me and reach out to me if it's something that you want to do, I'm actually pretty skilled at being able to help you get your theme in order. So what is the Wellness Cooking Academy? I've given you tons of information, and it is 12 module course to help you boost your business skills. We have chef basic skills that we start with, the organizing and your business plan. Super important, getting that back office organized. Regulations and legal tips, how to teach a class. We have videos to just show you the basics of what are you going to do, where do you start. Selling your programs, living food, corporate lunch and learns, teaching kids classes, marketing, social media, we go heavily into that. We have some experts that did some videos for us. You'll appreciate that. Giving a signature talk, working on a book, that publishing, we have the publisher who helps you get it over the finish line. And then wherever you need help at the end, we are there to help you cross the finish line. Again, your red line, you want to stay on track. So you have to know what your programs are. Again, you want to know your ABC. Keep it as simple as you can. So I'm going to just show you a couple of little basics. This is that business back office that I was talking about. Some of the forms there. This is the corporate one. You're going to notice there's a couple more extra handouts because when you're doing corporate, you're going to need a pitch, a proposal. There's going to be some things that they ask you. We teach you how to charge, how to get the information from them on what their budget is. There's a little bit more strategy when you're dealing with corporate, but it can be super lucrative. This is the information, like you're going to the class to teach corporate. This is what you're going to be able to hand them. Again, you look like a super polished expert from day one. You won't be embarrassed to charge